Yo, what's up, YouTube? We gonna hop right in. I've been keeping y'all waiting long enough on the progress on this bill. So, picking up where we left off, episode 13 was my first fuel setup. That's why I did the surge tank, put that in the trunk, the two Hellcat, the 25 pumps in there. I got that mounted, all that set up, and then I ran my bulkheads to the pretty much the trunk where the tire well goes. The bulkheads to get out to the other side of the car. So now I'm focusing on changing the stock fuel pump. Right now, still the stock E46 fuel pump in there. So I'm gonna swap that out so I can have a lift pump that's actually capable of supporting the needs I want. So I went with a 340 liter per hour pump. That should supply. Let's see, roughly I have about 1050 with the pumps in the surge tank, so I wanted about a third of that for the lift pump. So I went with the 340 lift pump, E85 compatible. It's a quantum pump. These are pretty much what I understand, kind of like aeromotive style pumps. So went with that. This BMW specific one. Well, they're all pretty much the same, but this one comes with the actual strainer and sock that kind of fits the angle of the BMW tank. Comes with everything else, the pump, the lines, the wiring, all that. But it's pretty much just a regular fuel pump, 340 liter per hour. So here I'm just getting to the fuel pump. It's in the passenger side rear, under the back seat. Obviously clean all this out. This is the simple normal thing here. Just got to get the head out. Got that locking ring there. I use a screwdriver and a hammer just to bump that ring off, unscrew it, basically the normal stuff here. So it's nothing cosmic. Just getting into it. Obviously make sure I try to clean out, vacuum all the little dust and dirt so I can eliminate what falls in the pump. But pretty simple. Get this out and then we keep it moving. That's essentially it as far as going inside goes. See inside the tank here, it kind of sits, the pump kind of sits inside here. That line here, this is the suction that comes from it's a saddle style tank. So it just comes from the other side of the tank. So this is the passenger side, is where the actual pump is. Driver side, it's a saddle style tank, so fuel sits here and it siphons over to this side to go to the pump. There's an issue with, I know some E46s where the siphon pump won't supply the adequate amount of fuel. So what I'm going to do is feed from this, and I'm also going to just return it directly to this side, so it'll fit right into this bowl here. And then you can see it's tank itself isn't bad. Obviously I'm a little at an angle because I can't fit my phone in there, but fuel's not looking too dirty, so that's good. We got the pump out, so hey, let's move it to the bench and put the new one in. All right, so got everything laid out here. This is the original fuel assembly. You see when it sits in the pump, I think it's actually like this. It's kind of at a slant. This is why the Quantum supplies this angled fuel filter. So when it actually goes on, it'll pop on like this. The pump will be slanted, but the pickup will be actually flat. They supply everything else you need with the kit. I did get this from Radium. This is because the body on the stock pump is a lot thicker. This ridge right here will fit right where this ridge is. It'll lock in there, and then you just put the normal pump in and clamp it down. Let's see. This is my bulkhead fitting. So this is what I need to figure out. If I cut that off and put this here, am I gonna have enough room to put the AN fitting on as well? if I put this right here and it still make it out. So this is dash 6. So I ended up pretty much, that was the plan I went with. I'm gonna use the stock, the outlet for the stock pump. So first, obviously, I had to get it out of here. Those clamps on the hoses were on there. Those are the crimp style, so I couldn't get them off, so I had to cut the hose. And then obviously I'm gonna cut that port off anyway, so it didn't really matter. And then yeah, just pretty much started cleaning and cutting. I cut the nipple on the other side, underside rather, and then obviously do the same on the top. And then start drilling it out to accept the bulkhead. Cool. So I'll cut that flush. Cut a flush here, and I'm gonna drill it out to a hole big enough to accept a bulkhead fitting. So this will be here. I need it big enough to get the threaded pieces through. All right, so started getting the Dremel out. The stock port was kind of in the corner, so obviously I did have to kind of walk the hole over a little bit just to make sure that nut could fit on for the actual bulkhead, but that wasn't too much of an issue. And then I also had some fuel safe sealant I used on, it has nylon washers, but put a little sealant on it just to make sure. It's supposed to be a fuel safe sealant, so hopefully that works. And after that, obviously I got to get the stock pump out of the carrier. The BMW carrier kind of has this, you see this little tray that it kind of, not tray, but I guess carrier it sits in. I got this adapter from Radium, this green piece here. The stock pump is, the body style is a lot wider, bigger diameter than the aftermarket pump, so that Radium adapter pretty much allows the smaller body pumps to fit in the stock BMW carrier. Just has some tabs that snap into place, and then you just use the clamp to tighten the aftermarket pump to the actual adapter. Simple. Put that back in, put the sock on. I had to remember which way the actual carrier kind of sits in the tank, and then obviously you want the angle of the filter, the sock, to match that. So you see here I pretty much got everything for the most part situated. I decided to run the wiring through another, there was a nipple on there that I think was going to be used for potentially a return or something, so I just kind of ran the connections through that because I'm going to use Deutsch style connectors, and then I just seal that off, and then now pretty much just putting it back in the tank. Like I said, the pump comes with the PTFE corrugated hole, so I connected all that. You see this tab here, this is how I knew which way to sit it in there, because that tab matches the tab that's in the actual tank. So that was a good reminder. The float and all that stuff, I didn't touch any of that as far as the actual fuel pump housing, so that's all normal. And you see my feed, the black bulkhead is my feed, and then I decided to run a return to this side as well, because I was trying to avoid some of the potential issues of maybe not being able to siphon. I ended up doing away with that and actually ran it to the stock normal return, but I'll get into that a little later. Alright, back in here to put this thing back in here. I'm pretty sure it went this way. Everything should be good to go. I didn't mess with any of the fuel level stuff, so hopefully that should still work. Ideally. Okay, so my tanks, the fuel pump's back in. I got the housing, everything back inside the tank. So now I gotta start working on my hose routing. So I didn't really know exactly where this hose is gonna pop out. So my idea was just to push the hose through, kind of see where it came out under. I know I kind of wanted it to come out on the the passenger side. So I kind of had a spot. So the tank is again right under the seat, but it's it's like an inch or two gap between the actual seat and the tank, probably like an inch. So there's enough room to squeeze the hose through. So just kind of had to find a spot, and I just pushed it through because I wanted to see where it came out. If it didn't come out where I wanted it, then I could just take it back out, try again. But I didn't want to drop the tank because I know I could just kind of push it through. So I did that, and then happened to end up kind of where I wanted it. At the moment, just push it in there, push it kind of towards the back. And ideally, I think the angle of the hose of the fitting. So my fitting, I tried to get a short fitting that kind of helped make sure it fits under here. I think I have to do a slight modification, but nothing major. And I'm pretty sure the hose is going to be pointed up here just to get the most clearance. So that should still work. So let's go see. So I essentially found where I wanted everything to run. I decided to spare you all with showing me fiddling and getting the hose through, but you see here on my bulkhead fitting, pretty much got the hose following the actual stock filler. The filler kind of runs right over that passenger side and right into the top of this is kind of the aft passenger side of the tank. You see where it goes. Right here on the right side where I'm kind of pointing that hose I have clamped, that's the hose I just poked through. So it actually came out right there on the passenger side rear of the pump, the tank. So that's pretty much right where I wanted it to come out. And then I just kind of had to route it. I put some heat wrap, pretty thick heat wrap there when I zip tied it. I'm gonna probably go back through later and do some actual hose clamps, but I literally just followed it. You see here, this is the top of the tank, came right out there, and I followed the filler neck routing back to get me around to my bulkheads, and it pretty much worked out pretty well. Cool, went ahead and fed in 8 feed, return. So this will be the feed for the lift pump going to my surge tank. Then if the surge tank's full, it feeds back to here. Actually, it's a little divot down here. So this is where the feed line will kind of sit into there because its connection is going to be a little lower. Then I have this higher one here. So it should fit just like that. This will connect there, and one will connect here. Go underside, I'm going to do the same stuff. Route it. Here's what we got. Hoses coming out from the top of the tank. Here's the feed where the filler goes into the tank. You gotta route it up, following the filler around. And then I'm gonna rotate you guys here a little bit. This is all the evap stuff over here, but the filler goes up to the filler port. I have the feed and the return breaking off, and then plugged into their respective fittings. So not bad. That routed pretty much how I want it. Let's see how this is gonna fit though. I didn't test fit this yet. I did kind of go ahead and cut some slots here to try to fit this, but look at that. I think I'm gonna cut this side just a little bit more just because it's touching. I don't want it to touch or fray or rub through. Other than that, we should be good to go. One more time. There it is. Could have cut that one a little bit neater, but look at it back here, the big picture. Okay, got it done. I do got the feed running under the return. So since it's like this little pocket here, I kind of snake that down under it. Then the return loops over, and then they both go down. Then the feed loops as well, and then goes down back side of the tank. That's it, man. Looks pretty neat. Got the hoses running the same direction. At least, you know, the look of them going the same direction, especially from here. And then, obviously, once I cover it up, the plate will go on, get covered up. You know, if I can get this to work out with putting that back in there, you won't be able to see a thing. And all I do now is just cut the power on this one and run that to my trigger, and it should be good. All right, so I ended up changing something here. Originally, I was going to run a return to what you see here. This right here is the actual driver's side. This is the normal return port. So the normal stock setup, this is where the fuel returns into that orifice. That orifice actually has a specific setup inside this portion of the tank that actually, I think, feeds the Venturi effect to allow the fuel to siphon to the other side. This is about a 6 AN port. So what I ended up doing is, instead of running the return to the setup I had on the passenger side, I ended up just adapting that down to 6 AN and running a line over here, and then I just capped that one off. I had an issue, I don't know if this was because of that or not, but my first fuel pump failed, and it may have been something caused related to that, so I ended up changing it to this. I didn't realize that this actually had a specific like system in here, Venturi system, that actual hose feeds to, so I ended up returning it to a normal setup. Here's what I got so far. So I only did one line. Did a top line. I'm gonna flip you guys around and see from the back. And this is the trunk. So this is my bulkheads. So I had the one line running up here. It's pretty close to this mount. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually drill a hole through the tub, and I'll mount a clamp just to make sure it's not on there rubbing. And that clamp will keep this back, keep it away. I also put some kind of some of the heat shield around it. I'm gonna run it up. Again, I'm trying to keep everything above the diff. That way, if I have to remove the diff, like, I don't have to take those lines off. I can just drop the diff without that, and it should work just fine. I got it routed up. Exhaust is here. So there's a little heat shielding right here, and it's a slight indent here. I don't know if you can kind of make that out, but this is raising this a little lower right here, so I kind of got it routed around that lower part right here, and then coming out, so it's going around that, because I think it's some kind of, I guess it's reinforcement maybe for the mounts, or how the diff mounts. So it's routed up in here. I put it under the heat shield. I got it bent out right now because I still have to run the other line, so there's only one line right now. This is the feed that I'm running, so I could smush that back down. Then I got it ran up. Again, the shock, the spring is here, so I'm trying to keep it away from that. I'm gonna probably somehow, I will have to figure out some kind of mount. I'll probably just maybe throw a zip tie. There's a hole in the diff right here. I don't know if it's one on the other side, but it doesn't seem like it. But maybe I may have to tap another hole somewhere. I could, since I'm not actually running the evap anymore, the blue line, I may just zip tie them to that just to keep it up and out of the way. And then it'll wrap around. I have it follow the brake lines down. Tuck it under here. This is the e-brake cable. I need to take that off. I have it tucked up under this kind of pocket on top of the tank. Route it up around this side, so it'll essentially come right here. It'll be like that. I can't fit it. I don't think I can fit it all the way up there because I don't think there's enough room. There may have been enough room to get it down here, but I didn't want to try to force it up there to get it down, so I'm just gonna actually kind of tuck it up, something like that. Now I run it across the side, and again, I'll probably drill and tap something here as a clamp to hold it down. Come across, put it across this band. I should be able to get the other one on here. There's plenty of room up here. Have it come across I may try to bend these lines and get it to go under those lines. Still trying to figure that out exactly. And then I just kind of modified the regular stock mounts for it. It was like a rubber isolator in there. So I just kind of took those out. And I got it running through those. And it'll run through those all the way down. Another one. Get some of the clamps that I'm going to use on the other parts to keep everything in place. And then here, I forgot what ran. I think the old regulator ran here, so I'll probably actually mount the flex fuel sensor here for the return. But the feed will just run up here, and then it'll just run straight up to wherever I put the regulator up there in the engine bay. So trying to figure that out. This should leave room for my clutch feeds here. So that clutch line is gonna end up going to the pedal right here through this grommet. So I run a 180 fitting out of there, come back up there. I can use the clamp here to keep that in place, tucked up out of the way. And again, the feed will be on this side. I'll probably put another clamp here and mount the return here. So this will be where the flex fuel sensor is. Then that will shoot right back, and then it'll fit right in the other side all the way back, and then I'll just follow the same routing back. So that's what I got right now. Cool, this is my Motion Raceworks. This is pretty much an adapter to allow more fuel flow through the flex fuel sensor. Flex fuel sensor, the normal stock port is real small, restricts the fuel flow. So this gives you a alternate path pretty much that maintains that normal flow. Plus, it's a nice way to mount the flex fuel. So I went ahead and copied that from Motion Raceworks. Great product. Yeah. Let me sneak under here and show you guys what we ended up with. So I'm gonna take this guy off right quick. Boom. Nice little place to hold it. Yeah. Rib nutted. Put 2 rib nuts in the side frame. Put the rib nuts in there. And yeah, I got it mounted up there. It's pretty slick. Still got the wiring. So again, my wiring running straight up here, and then my return line will snake probably right through there. I'll link that up right here, so I have my nice return. And that'll pretty much be the fuel system. It's looking decently promising. We'll see. I like it. I might have to order a little bit of hose just to go from the return back to the tank, and that's literally the complete system. Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing I need under here. I gotta connect all the wiring for the trans, but I'll go ahead and splice these up, run a wire up to the top once I get that wired and figure out how I'm supposed to wire it. I'm assuming it's a positive ground, and then the white's probably the signal, so that shouldn't be too hard. And then after that, we can go from there. So all I'm gonna do for now is, I went ahead and put the intake on just so I could see how it's gonna look with my fuel. So my feed, you saw that one comes up. So here's my actual feed right here. I have like a, what's this? This is at a 60 degree, I believe that's right. Yeah. Yep, 60 degree turn. And I'm gonna end up planning to put my regulator right here on the side. I'll mount it right here. I'm gonna put a little bracket probably behind it. And that way I can mount it right here. And then I'll just do a straight shot out from the bottom of the regulator back down to the return or to the flex fuel sensor return and back to the back. So shouldn't be too complicated after that. So yeah, man, I'm gonna keep going. And what I think I'm gonna do for the bracket, the mount for the regulator, I just took a piece of angle iron I still had, cut that one side super short, and I'll use this, tap it, I drill some holes through it. I'm gonna mount it here. That puts it at a little canted angle, and I'll drill some holes in it, and then I will have to re-drill holes on this, on my regulator, but essentially this will be on the frame, and I'll be able to just mount this to that, and it should be good to go. I might put some standoffs on it. I'm trying to debate, do I want to drill all the way through this? Maybe put like a, maybe weld like a tack a little nut on the back of it, so I don't have to worry about that. All right, so quick little booger weld. You know how I do. For this mount, again, I'll clean up. I just tacked it. I didn't need to go super hard on it. Plus, it's kind of a tough area to reach. It's tucked back here, so it's a couple tacks all around. It's definitely not going anywhere. Obviously, I'm gonna clean it up, grind it down, put a coat of paint on it, clean all this stuff up around it as well. All right, here's my piece. Put a little coat on the paint, white paint on it, just to kind of help it not rust any of that. Went ahead and put some rib nuts in it, M6 rib nuts. And then with that, I'll just bolt right here. See, I got my 2 bolts. I had 2 holes I had to drill, and then I'll just mount that right up. And then gives me my little slide. I'll come right through here. Should be good to go. So I'm gonna let that dry a little bit, and I'll go ahead and mount it up. All right, here we have solution, fuel pressure regulator. Have enough room to get this plug in there. Kind of wanted to hide that because I like how that sticks out. So here's my solution. Again, I mounted it right to the firewall. It's nice and sturdy. It's definitely not going anywhere. And my return here, once I clean this out, return will go. I'm trying to figure out exactly where I want to route it. I think I'm gonna just try to shoot it down here. I may use this nut to kind of put a hose tie here, kind of keep it out of the way, make sure it's not getting frayed or rubbed on. And then I'll just shoot it straight to return. Yeah, here's the feed. Kind of show that if I didn't. All right, I'm going on a trip, guys. Show you what I got. Again, we already talked about this. Feed line. Feed line's here. This is just my clutch line. I just gotta connect it to the clutch line and keep it secure. Feed line goes up. Come up to the top. Feed line goes up to the back of the rail here. I had to do a low profile 90. Kind of push this in a little bit to get it to fit. It's going to feed the rails initially. After feeding the rails, about 120 right here. Seeing it still clears everything. Got a little gap there as well, and I also coated it. So that 120 is the line right here. That's gonna run over, come out here, feed my regulator. Then from the regulator, I have the other side blocked off. So just the feed in, then the regulator out here for the return. So here's my return line. Going down. And that's this line coming from my regulator. You can kind of see it right up there. Feed line comes down. This next rabbit side, the brake line. It goes right into the flex fuel connector. And then I just have to make this line from the flex fuel connector back out to that bulkhead in the back that I showed on kind of the previous videos when I did the surge tank setup. So fuel system's pretty much done, man. I probably won't even show putting that last line on because All I'm literally doing is running the line, and I'm running it exactly alongside the feed that came up. So it's just gonna mirror that and run straight back. So I got that done. Um, yeah, I think that's it for the fuel system for as far as setup. So I am going to try to run the system because I want to make sure before it gets to the engine. So I'm going to probably disconnect that feed, and then I'll turn the pumps on, run it, just to make sure it cleans any trash or anything that may be in the lines out. So I'm gonna do that. So I also took this time to go ahead and make sure my hoses were clean. I made these lines myself, PTFE. Obviously sometimes with cutting the line and stuff, maybe a little bit of debris in there, so I went ahead and kind of connected each section, powered one of the pumps, and let it pump some fuel through into like a gas can just to make sure it was clean, and then put everything back together. So like I say, it worked out pretty well. So I got the surge tank, so I have my lift pump filling up the surge tank. The surge tank's gonna pump up through my filter all the way up to the front here to my rail. From the rail feed, obviously the front return line is gonna go to the regulator. The regulator is gonna come out. It's gonna pass through that flex fuel sensor first, and then it'll go back to the bulkhead to go back to the surge tank. And then obviously if the surge tank gets full, it'll pump the excess back into the stock saddle style return. Then it's just a cycle over and over. So it wasn't too bad doing all this, just trying to figure out where I wanted the lines to run. It's pretty simple. You can run them wherever you want them. That part's kind of your discretion. I just did respective fuel rails up and down, but no biggie there. So that's it, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.